At first, Obsession looks like a supernatural horror film about a wish gone wrong. But I think the reason it is connecting with so many young people is simple. It understands the emotional world many of them are living in. Parties, drinking, confused friendships, casual sex, fear of rejection, the desire to feel loved. The film captures all of that very well. Bear Bailey likes Nikki, and she says she wants to feel loved. And that already points to one of the film's central problems. Today, many people confuse love with what they feel. The film takes the confusion and turns it into horror. Bear wants Nikki, but he does not know how to deal with that desire. His friend Ian tries to help, but he is also confused, especially because he had a physical relationship with Nikki himself, and that is very believable. The story shows a generation in which everyone wants to be loved, but almost no one knows what love actually demands. With the supernatural element that makes Nikki obsessed with Bear, the movie becomes even more interesting, because the horror is not random, but a distorted image of love. Obsession is what happens when love is separated from freedom. If I want to possess someone, dominate or force someone to love me, that is not love anymore, because that person becomes my slave. And that is exactly what happens. Nikki becomes enslaved to Bear, and Bear becomes enslaved to Nikki. Neither of them is free, while even God wants to be loved freely and does not force love. So the film's central horror is not only that Nikki becomes obsessive, but that Bear's own desire was already disordered before the wish. He said he wanted love, but he actually just thought he had a feeling, and in a way that was closed in on himself. He lived alone, with his cat being almost his only real companion. When the animal passed away, the film makes us reflect on young people who feel isolated, want affection and often replace human bonds with pets, screens, or private emotional worlds. Then Nikki, already under the spell, tries to bring the cat back in a grotesque way. It becomes almost a cult of desire, to recover what was lost, to possess what cannot be possessed and bring back what belongs to the past, while the story shows us that getting exactly what you want does not necessarily make you happy. That is true in romance, but also in every area of life. We think, if I get into the right college, if I get the right job, if that person loves me, if everything happens the way I want, then I will finally be happy. But reality often contradicts us, and that is not always bad. Pain, limits, and disappointments purify our love and force us to leave ourselves behind. We find life by serving others. That is why Bear's blindness is so important. He is so focused on Nikki that he cannot see Sarah, who seems to care for him in a more real way. In other words, the first obsession in the movie is not Nikki's supernatural obsession with Bear, but Bear's being so locked inside his own desire that he cannot see the person near him. And that is a very modern problem. We are afraid to risk being vulnerable and suffer. Afraid to declare love and be rejected. But love requires vulnerability. To love is to open yourself to the possibility of pain, to realize that the other person may not love you back, or may disappoint you. But without that freedom and vulnerability, there is no real love, since real love is not only a sensation, but a decision of the will. A commitment, the free decision of giving your life concretely for the good of another person. The movie turns that into tragedy, but the truth underneath is real. A generation that lives by sensation will struggle to love and will not know what to do with the inescapable human desire for transcendence and something beyond the material world. Young people want meaning, mystery, travel, experience, energy, spirituality, but many no longer know the true name of what they are looking for. So they speak about energy. But energy is not God. This vague spirituality, this mixture of feelings, fear, desire, and supernatural curiosity, leaves people trapped. They want transcendence, but without truth, love without sacrifice, and meaning without conversion. That is why obsession works. It uses horror to expose something real about our time. And instead of a wish that becomes a curse, that may be the real tragedy of the film. A way out of this can be found, for example, in Casablanca, that beautifully portrays true freedom, and you can check our analysis in the pop video on your screen.